I kind of like hiding behind the microphone so you don't see me, but I don't think you can get that big a microphone. But anyway, like Lee mentioned, Farm Service Agency is getting smaller and smaller. Our staff is getting smaller and smaller, but we got a huge program to deliver the next couple of years. But fortunately, the farm loan program doesn't have as many changes, but our staff has gotten smaller and smaller too. But we're trying to do more with what resources we have, and we have to rely on a lot of guarantee lenders, with cooperation with everybody to get the job done. But mainly in this area, we've got Alan Page. If you don't know Alan, get to know him. He's pretty much the loan manager, loan officer for this area. He also goes out, travels up to Fort Morgan and helps that area out too. But we do have officers in Brighton, Pueblo, Lamar, Ray. The Ray loan officer goes down to Burlington. So we're doing our best to try to cover the area with the resources we have, and we're working on trying to get more staff. Just kind of wanted to bring you up to date on where we're at and what we have to offer. But like Lee said, the credit section of the Farm Bill was the least impacted. Pretty much everything that happened, the modifications that happened, were for the good. The lenders across the country were pretty instrumental in making sure some of the things got changed that wasn't working. And in your packet, I think there's only 5 handouts. Lee, there's a handout called New Farm Bill Offers Modification to Farm Loan Programs. And there's several bullets that had some changes. And like I said, most of it was for the good. And I'm not going to go cover every one of them. That's a lot of you probably aren't real interested in farm loans with FSA, but the changes are in effect right now. All these on this handout are in effect right now. And I'll just go over a few of them real quick. The second bullet there is the interest rate changed on direct farm ownership loans made in conjunction with other lenders. We call that our joint financing program. It works very well in this area. I think Alan's made several loans in that area. But the biggest thing was it used to have an interest rate of 5%. And some of the lenders around this area were making loans with interest rates lower than our 5% rate. So they changed it to 2% below our regular rate. And currently I can't go any lower than 2.5%. And that's currently what it's set at, is 2.5%. That's a 40-year loan, or amortized payments over 40 years. Pretty good program for somebody trying to purchase farm ground. Remember though, with all our FSA loan programs, the main criteria is that you're unable to obtain other financing through your local lender or from other sources. So, but we can help in that area. And probably the biggest news that's wasn't impacted by the Farm Bill, but for the last couple of years, you all know that we were fighting budget problems. And we had continuing resolution and on and on and on. And our loan program suffered because we couldn't get the funding. We couldn't get caught up on the loan applications we were receiving. But we finally, just in the last week or two, received word that this backlog of loan funds that we've been waiting on, it's finally broke through. So we're going to be able to fund all our backlog direct farm ownership loans applications that we've had on hand, and hopefully it'll all be funded here shortly. And the better word though is for next year, 2015, we had an increase of funding, quite a bit of increase of funding. I think there's $1.5 billion nationwide that we can loan for direct farm ownership loans. And also our loan program that direct farm ownership program was given a zero subsidy rate. So that means that when we run out, we can even ask for more. So The word you might have been hearing is, well, FSA has a loan program, but they don't have any funding for it. So now we've got the funding for it. It's there. The only problem is now we got limited staff resources to deliver that program, but work with us, be patient with us, and we should be able to help you. We've had a little change in our down payment farm ownership loan program. This is kind of set up for our beginning farmers, and you'll notice through all the changes in the Farm Bill that affect credit, we're kind of geared towards that beginning farmer. Somebody help somebody get started in farming, help some of the youth organizations, youth loans. And that down payment one's been real successful. It's a 1.5% interest rate. If an applicant can come up with 5% down, we'll loan 45% of the purchase price. If another lender will loan 50% or more. So that's been another good program. It's geared just to beginning farmers, but it's also available. The other area change was in our youth loan program. We can now make youth loans in urban areas. That doesn't really impact Lyman, Colorado, really, but it does show that we're reaching out to that beginning farmer, more youth organizations, not only in rural areas but also urban areas. The other one is microloans. There's a big emphasis on this microloan program. It came out about a year ago. Secretary Vilsack's been very vocal about the microloan program. It's been very successful, not only for some of the beginning farmers, but also other people that might not have been traditional type farmers, but we're always in that gray area, hobby farmers or whatever. But there's a big push on making microloans. It's a $35,000 loan program, a streamlined application process. You don't have to submit that inch thick of material or documents to Alan anymore. So hopefully that'll be a help for some people that need a small amount of money. Another area that changed was in our beginning farmer definition. We had let's just go to the other handout here and I'll help explain it. There's loans for beginning farmers and ranchers. And a beginning farmer, as far as FSA is concerned, is an applicant that's farmed for less than 10 years. We've got different criteria for operating versus farm ownership, for the purchase of real estate. For operating, you don't necessarily have to have any experience other than they have to have some kind of knowledge or some kind of training. Just have the ability, maybe a mentor to help them get into farming. But for the purchase of real estate, we do need 3 years of experience. The only one thing we're kind of waiting on is what qualifies as 3 years of experience. So they're supposed to kind of get us a new definition of what that experience will entail. But we'll work with you as far as being raised on a farm, working for a farmer. So we'll look for that, but we do need somebody that has like 3 years experience for purchase of real estate. A beginning farmer still got to qualify just like everybody else as far as being unable to obtain other financing and participate in the operation of the farm and those other main loan criteria that we have. But what was changed in the Farm Bill was that if a farmer already owned some real estate, he might not have qualified as a beginning farmer if he owned more than 30% of the median farm size. They changed that definition to a 30% of the average farm size, and that really helped Colorado a lot. In some areas it was a couple hundred acres. If you own more than a couple hundred acres, you didn't qualify. But now, and I think, Alan, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's more like 700 or 800 acres is now the average farm size in this area.
For Lincoln and Cheyenne.
Yeah.
Elbert County is still small.
Okay, yeah, some of the Front Range counties are still real small acres, but in most areas, it really helped our applicants qualify for that beginning farmer. That flyer also covers that down payment program like I talked about, and that joint financing arrangement. A lot of people in this room probably aren't interested in beginning farmer program, but you might have son or grandsons or neighbors that want to get into farming, so share that information with them if you can. Appreciate it. Also in that packet, I gave you a farm loan overview. I won't bore you with everything that's in there. You probably already heard enough from me. But again, if you're interested, look at that, or if not, share it with somebody that might be. There's a farm loan information chart. There's a lot of different loans that we get involved with. I didn't really touch on the emergency loans. Our regular operating loan rate right now is lower than our emergency loan rate, so it hasn't been a real popular program right now, but it is available, and it might come into play in certain cases. The last fact sheet that was in your packet is on the microloans. Kind of gives a little bit more information about that microloan program, and I just want to kind of mention that Secretary Vilsack is bragging on this program. The last couple of months, every speech he's given, he started out talking about the success of the microloan program. I think it just goes to show that he's real interested in helping that smaller beginning farmer get started. So if you know of anybody that might be interested in a microloan, have them get in touch with Alan Page or whoever your local loan officer is. Okay, Lee, I think I did the best I could on
Okay,
farm
thank you,
loans.
Scott. I think the key thing is we look at farm loans. Many of the community banks regulations have kind of brought down their capability to expand into agriculture production. We can be their partner. I look at FSA farm loan program is really the first lender of opportunity. And that is we look at people that may want to come into agriculture, we're their opportunity. And we want to work with them so they graduate into financing, be it with the farm credit system or community banks or whatever. That's our goal, is to make them viable in their community. So make sure that you contact, and even though in Arapahoe County we may not have a loan officer, contact Janice. She can get you in touch with an individual. So stop at your local office. And we'll have Scott up here for questions later if you have some. But we'll get right now to the commodity title, and